History Untold. A 4X grand strategy game spanning the ages is beautiful to look at, yes, but it's even more fun to play. Here to walk us through this epic world, please welcome Xbox Game Studios executive producer, Matt Turnbull. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, this is going to be a fantastic segment. How are you enjoying Gamescom so far, though?
Gamescom is my favorite event of the year.
Agreed.
Honestly, it brings so much energy to be able to interact with people who love games, who do those things. The booth we have this year is incredible because we're
so detailed and beautiful over there.
Yeah, we're finally coming out, right? The game is finally ready. It's coming out September 24th. Have to drop the date in there. But,
check.
Yeah, check, done. But the booth has just been a really fantastic experience. Getting to actually let people play hands-on with the game, experience the game it's the way it was meant to be played, and just feel like they could become a leader.
100%. Well, we're going to do exactly that now. I cannot wait to see this live gameplay demo we're going to do. So I'm going to let you just kick things off, get us into the game, set the scene, and I'll check in when I'll get a little bit nosy.
Anytime. You're always welcome.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. So as you probably know, our History Untold is a historical grand strategy game. It bears a lot of DNA from your classic 4X genre and some of the other genres around, historical grand strategy. This is Xbox's first foray into this genre. It's honestly not a genre that we've truly explored, truly gotten into before. We've made, obviously with the Age franchise, with RTS, but true like grand strategy, turn-based, is new territory. And luckily, we have this incredible partner, Oxide Games, that has a tremendous amount of experience. People who have worked on almost every great strategy game you've ever heard of or played. And they are such an incredible partner, and we're so excited that we get to help them bring this game to life.
Oh, stunning. Okay, so as usual, our first question when we enter a game is, what are we going to be? Who are we?
Yes, so right now you can see I've got Shaka Zulu here as the head of the Zulu Empire. He has all these different interesting abilities. We have 10 leaders here at Gamescom. Now, when the game launches, we'll have over 30 leaders available to play from.
Wow.
But we only brought 10 with us to Gamescom this year.
So you can fit in the suitcase, I get it, yeah.
Exactly. Just gonna make room. So right now, I think for today, though, I will play Nefertiti.
Lovely, okay. Why Nefertiti? What's the choice there?
So if you look at her different abilities here, you can see things like farms and their upgrades provide additional food per turn. She gets big bonuses if she's next to rivers, as kind of a reference to the work on the Nile. And then as sort of a person who is very famous for being a royal wife and a queen that pushed the religion of the worship of the Aten, the sun, she had this opportunity to have these awesome religious abilities. So when you found a religion with her, it spreads faster and you're able to move it more. And in those early eras, it can be very, very powerful and a really strong source of prestige, which are the points you need to win the game.
Interesting. Okay, let's crack on with Nefertiti then. And here we go. This is my favorite bit, map building. What do you suggest we go for today?
Well, we've kind of pre-set up a map that we think will be a good show for us. We've got 8 nations on the map. We have average sea level. You can change everything in the game from the temperature, the humidity.
The humidity, wow.
Even the axial tilt. And so this is one of my favorites because when you imagine, the Earth, you know exactly how it's tilted to the sun, right? So pretend that it was like a planet that was more tilted. In that case, the map it would generate would have a much hotter area, a much colder area, a broader cold area, depending. So it generates all of those things based off of that. Now, you get a deterministic seed, which is basically a number that you could put in, and as long as you have the same options at the same seed, it'll generate the same map, which means that if you fall in love with a map, I fall in love with a map, we can share it.
Oh, I love that. Okay, awesome. What was the size of the map we went on here? Because I know, especially when we call this a grand strategy game and referring to some of the other games you've mentioned already, map size and scale and detail is so important. So A, what are we doing today? And B, what options do you have there? Yeah,
so honestly, the game has a number of different map options. At its largest map size, you can fit up to 36 nations on there.
Whoa!
All at once.
Goodness me.
Thanks to the power of simultaneous turns, which is one of the unique innovations in ARA, the players are able to all take their action within the time term, whatever the time limit is you set in multiplayer, and then a single player as long as you want, and then you submit the turn, and all the actions resolve simultaneously.
And it goes, okay, interesting.
And so you can play with 36 players, and it's totally functional.
Doesn't feel like
it. It wouldn't really work to play 36 players one at a time, over time at a time.
Yeah, with a cup of tea, like, come on, lads,
I would take off for a while, and then come back, and it still wouldn't be my turn.
Absolutely. So what's this exposition that we just got at the beginning of? And also, Act 1 is an interesting thing to read.
Yeah, so in our History Untold, the game is broken into 3 acts. Now, you play the same leader from the very beginning of the game all the way to the modern era. When we say a history untold, what we're talking about is the untold history of this alternate Earth, this alternate life of this alternate ruler. And so you play the same history, you play the same ruler, the same nation. You take them from the beginning of the first agrarian, the first farms, all the way to the modern era, and even a little bit into the singularity age.
Oh, God. Okay, well, let's
together.
jump in. I want to see this first bit, and I'm picking up on that singularity bit because that sounds wild.
All right, so one of the first things you probably notice is that Ara has a kind of a different presentation. You know, a lot of these games are inspired by board games. You know, hexes, tiles, and I love those. But with Ara, we really wanted to deliver the player fantasy of being a leader of a real world, the choices you make. And so there are things like organic borders, so where the river goes is where the natural borders are.
Oh, I love that.
And you could do other things like, if you zoom out and look around, sometimes you'll see mountain peaks out in the distance because your people could see those mountains. For right now, though, it looks like we have a nice little temperate forest here, some plains that are lovely. We've got some grains available, and we can zoom all the way down and see.
Oh my goodness, you get so close.
Yeah, there's some wheat growing over here, and then if I zoom in over here, you can see some rice that I could turn into some rice farms. Over here, it looks like there's some dangerous predators, in this case, some wolves.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What are they? Do they move freely around the map, or would you go to engage them over there?
So you have to hunt them in order to be able to take advantage of this area. And luckily, in the early areas, I have this scout, which is a unit that can go out and do some great stuff. So I'm going to send my scout there.
Oh, wow. It zoomed.
You can see how with simultaneous turns, they haven't made their full move, but they've indicated where they'll go.
Interesting. Okay.
One of the fun things about simultaneous turns is you can cancel orders at any time.
Oh, wow.
And so the game has the depth and complexity of like a grand strategy game with layer after layer after layer. As you set up all your moves, you'll see what all the impact will be, and then you can go, you know what, actually, I'm going to wind it back.
That's good.
And none of it will go off until you hit end turn. So let's go ahead and get our scout moving and make one other big decision that we make at turn one, which is what to build. So
interesting, yes, because there's, decisions are very, very important when it comes to these strategy games, and I'm sure we're going to go through quite a lot of them anyway, but what's this first one that players are going to meet as soon as they start?
Yeah, so the very first thing you have is you have the ability to improve your cities. Now, Ara is a game about people. It's about your citizens. It's about their quality of life, you know, their happiness, their health, their education, and you improve your lands with what we call improvements that can do things like improve their quality of life or provide them with additional housing. So the first thing we're going to build is a farm, and that's going to help us with some initial growth. And
we
also
have the same strategy here.
Yeah, you got to do it. And
so
especially with Nefertiti, it's just a great option. And so you can see the little ghostly outline is telling me that that'll show up too. And so when I hit next turn now, you see everything begins. My scout makes their move. You can see the people have begun work on their farm.
Oh, that's so nice.
You know, there are people working away at the thing.
Whistling away. Good stuff.
Yeah, over here I've got my great hearth, which is sort of the center of our power right now, where our leader lives. Then if I go back over here, I see my scout is over here. Now, I'm going to send my scout to hunt these wolves.
Ooh, okay.
Hunting a predator is about clearing the lands for you to be able to use, and I'm definitely going to want to build farms over here, what with the rivers and Nefertiti's abilities.
100%.
Beyond that, when you hunt animals, you also can end up getting some early resources. And so you can see the little guys going in there, getting ready to hunt the wolves.
Good
the wolves
luck,
running away. But the value of this is going to be that I'll send back furs, possibly food, maybe even feasts that could help boost my city's power. So
nice.
the next thing we're going to do is pick a technology.
Ooh, okay.
All right, so I'm going to let you pick, right?
Oh, Matt. Okay, here we go. I'm sitting straight. Let's hear it.
So we're in the ancient history era. Ara is broken into 12 eras across 3 acts. And so right now we have these very early beginning human technologies of being able to make bows, of being able to ferment food into wines and other beverages, being able to do animal husbandry, understand how to raise animals, turn them into meats. So what are you feeling? What are you aiming for? Knowing what you see around you here with the rivers, the water, but also some of those grains, what feels right?
Oh, I'm concerned you're setting me up that there's a specific choice here. Based on how
many good choices, many options.
Based on how I normally play these types of games, and knowing that as soon as possible I want to start rearing animals at a farm, I've already told you what I want to do here, and eventually going into, you know, maybe more scouts and armies and everything like that. I think animal husbandry, for me, is where I want to go. I'm not too fussed on the pottery. We'll get to nice mugs and plates a bit later, but for now, I want cows and I want sheep.
Let's do it. And then we should go and take a look, see if we can find some of those things with our scout here pretty soon.
I will say quickly, though, on that decision, as it's such an important one you make at the beginning, what's a good option for first-time players? Is it animal husbandry? Is that the route you would typically kind of recommend people go for?
Well, honestly, there are a lot of different things you can do. It depends on what your strategy is. You should really pay attention to who your leader is and what their powers are. So if I was playing Shaka Zulu and I was intending to meet my neighbors and go and try and conquer them right away, I might pick archery. But if I was playing as, again, Nefertiti, I might go for grain storage. Because
see, I knew you'd set me up. I went for the wrong one.
Or animal husbandry. Because either of those will involve farms that produce more harvest with her that help, especially if I have rivers near me.
Okay,
you know, but if I was on a coastal island, if I was playing on an archipelago, which I think I pronounced correctly.
I think it was good.
Close enough.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I would maybe go for rope making, which can help you get early boats and those types of things.
Good, nice.
All right, so we still have our scout idol here. We're going to move them out into the wilds.
Yeah, let's expand the territory. We see the fog of war everywhere. You've discovered, what's that just down there with all the little pots and pans?
Oh, yeah. So these are basically the remnants of forgotten civilizations.
Nice.
They contain...
Stonehenge is just there, is it?
Yeah, just an older circle that was made by some nomadic society. And so eventually what will happen is I'll be able to pick those up with my scout. And as I do... we'll be able to discover some things, and those things will possibly help me. So right now, for example, this collected some furs and some statuary. And so now we're going to go ahead and take this stuff. Now, one of the big differentiators for Aura is that it's taken the complexity of a crafting system, but really stretched it out over 12 acts, over the entirety of human history. And so at any given time, you can build these things that you can use as amenities in your cities. For example, because I found some statuary, I can take those old statues, I can put them in my city, and for 10 turns, I'll have additional prosperity.
Nice.
And if I had any culture improvements, like say a library or more like a museum or something, or an artisan studio making those pots and pans,
there we go.
They would get a bonus as well from the being inspired by the beautiful statues. So I'm definitely going to equip that now, and it's going to, you can see it's going to raise the quality of life of my citizens, and then I'm going to continue to build. Now, I'm also going to go ahead and, money talks, right?
It does indeed, Matt.
Yeah, so you can always get more wealth, and if you get more wealth, you can use it a bunch of different ways. One of the ways is you can rush production. I can throw money at the problem.
So you can prioritize things in the heat of battle if something's going on and you need it.
You need it, absolutely.
Ooh, okay.
Now, you might notice these cougars over here. Pumas, bearcats, all names for the same animal. But they are here. Mountain lions, that's another one.
There's another one, nice.
It's the animal with the most names. I don't know if you know that, but it actually is.
I've never thought of it that way.
Weird, but it's true. So I can take them and hunt those, but I'm not gonna, because they're a little more dangerous. It'll take me 2 hunts, and I'll be at danger 4, and I could really lose a lot of health. So, like we said, we're gonna go look for some friendly animals. Let's go find some sheeps. Let's go find something a little safer.
The thing I've also found quite interesting is you haven't met any other people yet, and you said this is a small map size,
yeah,
right?
So even on a small map size, there are quite a number of regions. There's a lot to explore.
Pressure or instant sort of heat that someone's right next to you and you're fighting for resources.
Not necessarily.
Is that intentional?
There is a bit of an intention to give people a little bit of space at the beginning, but honestly, you can set the game up in so many ways. There's so many options with map generation. You can make a tiny map where everyone is clustered together. You can create it so there's very little land or only a single continent, all of these different things. So in this one, this is a map style that really benefits that. And if you zoom in here, you can see our farm.
Wow.
When you build improvements in Aura, they sort of expand to take the space you give them. So this is a farm that's been built out here. You see the little scarecrow.
Let's say how aesthetically it's just set that up. As someone who meticulously spends a lot of time in every game making things look nice, it's got little paths, it fits to the borders, it's lovely.
One of my favorite ways to honestly play is when I'm building a farm. The reason I chose this region is because I like big farms. I like them to stretch out, and I know I'm going to build a farm here with this grain.
Of course.
I want to make sort of an agrarian district along the coast here, so there'll be a bunch of beautiful coastal farms, and then over here will be like my city center. You can kind of play the game almost as a sandbox at the lower difficulty settings and really just build, the nation of your dreams.
And I suppose the most important question is, what's all this worth? What is the end of the game to conquer and wipe everyone off the map, or is it to have the most farms and to have killed the most cougars? I know you mentioned the singularity, but what is that point? What are you trying to do along the way?
It's a totally valid question. It's really good. To win an Aura History Untold, your goal is simply to become the most prestigious nation on the planet. You want to earn the most prestige. You want to be a nation that is known to the ends of time and that everybody will learn about and talk about all the way throughout history. So you can earn prestige many, many different ways. Everything you do has some form of an impact. For example, right now, most of the prestige I've earned is from the quality of life of my citizens. I've been providing them good goods, I've been farming, making sure they have enough food and everything, and because of that, I've been slowly earning prestige over time.
Okay.
When I was to create a religion, the more my religion spreads, the more I empower the religion by having more powers, which are called verses in the game, which give you new abilities. The more of those that I have, and the more that I can convert other nations to my religion, the more prestige I would gain from that. And you can do it through military, you can do it through commerce, and
I love the idea that there's someone making notes going, I'll give you a point for that. That was a good decision.
Yeah, you can have this prestige.
Yeah,
you can have this. You're a little bit more well-known now. One of my favorite things about the prestige system is you can pivot over time.
Okay.
In the first act with Nefertiti, maybe I'll work really hard on spreading my religion, but then maybe in the middle eras, in the early medieval ages or something, I'll rush iron and rush into swordsmen and rush into knights and try to do some conquering. And then as I get into the third act, maybe I'll start producing masterpieces.
Oh, okay.
But you can do all of these things, and then you end up in this stack with the other societies. You can see.
You can constantly see where you're stacking.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
And you can understand how you're earning prestige and where it's coming from and how you maybe could be doing better. One of the other innovations.
Forgettable.
Very sad.
Oh my! If
harsh.
I ever find myself there, I think I would cry.
Well, you wouldn't have to cry for long because at the end.
I can boot up a new go and start again.
Always, but also at the end of every act,
Yeah.
the forgettable nations are actually culled from the game. It is a unique feature in Aura that allows the game to sort of consolidate the world, make the super. So when you get to the third act in an 8-player game, for example, you'll have 4 players, the superpowers. They'll all be what's left, and everything else will have been kind of forgotten to history. In Act 2, we'll lose 2 nations, and then all of a sudden there will be a rush on all of their incredible findings, all the ruins of their nations, all the stuff that was left behind, and people will be in that kind of age of exploration.
Wow. Okay, I love that. So what I want to do now is a little birdie told me that you've actually prepped what an end version is. It is it Act 3 we're jumping to? Is it Act 2? Where are we going to be checking out now?
All right, so we're going to go into a Act 3 save that was done where I was playing as Joan of Arc,
Fun.
Jeanne d'Arc.
Nice.
Who plays as one of the rulers of France in the game. In the game, they can have multiple rulers of different nations. So, with launch, we're launching with Otto von Bismarck to rule Germany, of course, because we're here at Gamescom. But if you buy the deluxe or premium edition, you get the leader pack that includes Hildegard von Bingen, who plays completely differently. She's a very famous nun from the ancient German times, and she brings a totally different play style than Otto.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I've got one other thing to show you, and then we'll jump right to that, I
okay,
promise.
right. Ooh!
So, we've met a tribe.
This is, an event. Nice.
Yeah, so in tribes, when you meet these tribes, you find them out in the wild, and they are these small nations. They're named after whatever the region is. So they're sort of inspired by real tribes, but there aren't any actual real individual tribes. They're just made up for that. And then inspired by real life, actual events in history. So in this case, there was a founding myth, and they attributed it to 2 different things, and they actually had this fight about what was their founding myth. So we've took narrative inspiration about that and created this one, where now they're asking you, should you do the Beastborn Prince myth for their society? What do you want to record in the annals of your great society?
Wow, okay.
Or the Foreign Prince myth? Or do you want to say, no, it wasn't either of those. Actually, it was a giant bird, and you're both wrong, and now you get more religion spread, but then you deteriorate the relationship. Here, this costs stone for you to be able to build out the Prince myth and create the statues necessary. In this one, you need timber to be able to do the things in the woods to kind of show off what the myth would be. And in both cases, you get prestige, but it's about what you have to spend.
Yeah.
So what would you like to do? Do you like the Beast Prince myth, the Born Prince myth, or do you want to bring your own?
I'm writing my own book here.
You're doing it.
Tell him to go away. It's fine. I can see it has a detrimental relationship effect, but it's fine. This is my world, and they're living in it.
It is now. The Book of Charlieism is written. And
yes.
we have that. And unfortunately, this will mean these tribal warriors might be mad at us. These guys might be a little bit bitter. Is their current diplomatic status?
That's fine. We'll deal with them later. It's all good. Right.
We don't have to deal with them because we're
to the future.
We're going to go to another game. So this is in a bit of a war-torn world. It's in the information age, but some things have fallen behind a little bit because of the amount of war, and now it's kind of settled into sort of a firm Cold War state. But you'll see different prestige for the different rulers, and you'll also see a mix of different layers of industrial, of modern, as well as...
I cannot wait for this.
So you can see right here, there's a farm that's a little bit different, and we'll zoom out.
Whoa! That's so different. Look at that.
And that is the city of Paris. You can see the old city walls that were built up in medieval times are still there because you wouldn't see those knocked down in real life. You can see different buildings and improvements. If I zoom out further, you see the world's been much more explored. And
Absolutely.
you can kind of start to see it from, that airplane view if you were flying over it. Over here, we have one of our great triumphs. Triumphs take up an entire region and build housing around them. This is the Amphitheater of El Jem in Tunisia. It is this incredible Colosseum that was built by the Romans in the ancient times that provides a lot of different benefits to your society.
It's glowing as well.
Oh yeah, our triumphs, we always throw a little bit of a sheen on them, a little bit of
that's
magic.
Gorgeous.
And then if we move around, you can see there's some horse track there providing some value.
The way, how close you can get down with a camera, I'm
absolutely.
in absolute awe. Oh my goodness me.
This would be what a wheat farm would look like in this era as well. So the different crops also have different appearance as well. This is a stone pit that's currently producing iron.
Nice.
So this is sort of an industrial mine, and you can see the industrial diggers there. And then you can always go into your nested tooltips and say, okay, iron, what do I use iron for? Oh, I know, I use it to craft telescopes or steel. What do I use steel for? I need steel for a lot of things. I'm going to be using that steel to make
a toilet.
Metal pots, indoor toiletry, different things that I can use as amenities that I can use to craft other buildings. For example, I need these machine parts to be able to make a large particle collider. Or I would need these machine parts if I wanted to craft the SRS 8000, which is one of the world's largest excavators that was ever built.
I want one of them, please.
Yeah, just one of those.
God, there's just no point where you're not informed of the decisions you're making, and you can really take time with it because as soon as you're done, absolutely, and you can delete the bits and pieces along the way and make it good.
Yeah, and you can see the borders here with the German state where we had originally had some wars. You can see the city of RJ still has some military units in there. It also has some interesting things. There's a triumph here. I think we have the Statue of Liberty. We have a lighthouse there leading our ships into shore. There's just a lot going on everywhere you look.
There
you can
really
zoom in and
is.
see. And now, it looks complex because it is. This is a core game for core gamers, for strategy gamers. It's a love letter to them. But we've tried to create a lot of things like those nested tooltips, and of course the Encarta, we brought it back, that show you all of the different ways to play, all the different supplies in the game, the people you can find, everything else. So.
That's so good. And it feels like a juxtaposition to say it, looking at the screen we're looking at here, but this demo only shows a small fraction of the game, right?
We have barely touched upon
Are there any other elements that you want to very briefly talk about now before everyone dives in?
I'll just show you this little airplane.
Yeah, okay. There it is.
As the world continues, as it grows, there are all those details. You remember those wolves we saw in the ancient era? Now it's replaced by ATVs and airplanes and hot air balloons.
The natural evolution of a wolf to an airplane.
Yeah, that's how they grew, I think. And and then dinosaurs came after that, right? It was wolf, airplane, and then tyrannids.
And tyrannids, yes.
I love those whittle tyrannids.
Oh, amazing. Matt, I can't thank you enough. This game is firmly on my download queue. I cannot wait to check it out, and I love that you've come here to talk to me about it. Have you had a nice time?
I've had an incredible time talking with you. I love talking with people who love this genre, and I've had so much of an opportunity to do that at Gamescom. I'm going to continue to do it all through the weekend. I'm going to be in the booth and talking to all the fans and the players, and I can't wait for it to come out on September 24th. You can pre-order it now. You can wishlist it. It's day one in PC Game Pass, of course.
Amazing. Another check. Good job. Thank you, Matt. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much once again. You can get your hands, just as he said, on September 24th on PC Game Pass. But we're nearly ready to wrap things up. I'm going to show you one more trailer from the show. It's a sequel of epic side-scrolling proportions. This is Tales of Iron 2.